Only the strong and the clever survive. Now, within this community, assuming that you have stopped the infiltrators and you have all become one with one of sound mind and body, and your reasoning is, everyone is on the same page. You still have to. You are basically immune to infiltration because you're not accepting anyone, and everyone is held to a standard, or held to accountability, and even more so are outsiders. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule. What if a doctor with immense skill comes into your group, comes to your gate, and says, "Hey," and when it comes to your boundaries, says, "Hey, I'm a doctor. I wish to join your group because you have security, you have prosperity, you have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and survivability." Of course, you're going to strongly consider accepting him. Someone with skills, a warrior, a man, strong in stature and iron will. Of course, you want that because, like I said, this community is a target. And so you must have a force. You must have teeth. You must have strong arms and legs, keen eyes, and a powerful mind and will to repel the onslaught of marauders, of roving bands of idiots, of zombie hordes. It could be a number of threats that are presented to your community. So you have to have a standing security force at all times, manning the rails, manning the Bastilla, armed with teeth. Things, the authority. You have to have the authority to end life. That is your biggest deterrent, to be the most powerful force, most violent of action, that no one even dare attack you. Your force is so strong that it will repel any attack. It will defend its walls and its people with extreme prejudice, with extreme resilience, and attack and destroy, annihilate any force outside of its gates, out in its boundaries, a neighbor, a rival, anyone that poses at a threat. Could be they're getting more powerful than you, and you know their intentions are to take you over. You've dealt with them before. And there's been skirmishes and battles that have been in the history of your community and theirs. This is common throughout history. Border towns fight each other. States fight each other. Nations fight each other. So you have to be so fucking dangerous that no one dare attack you. No one dare try to use supple tactics, fifth generation warfare. You have everything covered. You stop the onslaught. You stop the terrorist actions, the poisonous infiltrations into your community. You stop all that. And then on top of that, you deal out a punishment for such atrocity, or your atrocities are worse than than what they can do, what they can do to you. So not only do you prevent and defend, you judge and destroy, because you have the reach and advantage. That was one of the fundamental things of the Mongolian Empire. They expanded well beyond their borders, and basically assimilated everyone in their empire. But if you resisted, you were wiped out. If you showed, in the Mongolian mindset, in Genghis Khan mindset, was that if there is resistance to his authority, then you are a threat, or a potential threat, which is rightly so. It's an extreme way of looking at it. And his solution to this problem, to this potential problem and eventuality, is that, fine, I'm just going to go ahead and annihilate everyone. So you're no longer a threat. Remove the threat. Now, granted, he got a little crazy, went a little overboard there, but and his reach and advantage was better than everyone else's. Sound familiar? And so, yes, there was some tyranny. Extreme countermeasures were established for any type of dissidence, any type of speaking out, any type of distance, any type of disagreement was dealt with extremely. Now, within the empire, people, groups, and culture were allowed to keep their way of life that they've always known. They just had to, claim, say, they are loyal to the Khan, and whatever he asks of them, they do. Say, hey, I need 5,000 bushels of grain, and I need that by Tuesday. I need all your able-bodied men from 17 to 60. We're going to go to war. I need all your women to make spears and bows and arrows. I need all your kids to run water to the troops. You did it because you didn't want to face annihilation. Otherwise, you carried on with your life, and for most of the existence of the empire, quite prosperous and very safe. Funny how that works. It was said that a beautiful virgin that was wearing, her weight in gold on her sewn into their clothes, could move freely and unmolested from China all the way into Europe. No one even dared to try to take whatever she had. Her virginity or her wealth, because the consequences were so great. But there was freedom. There was a type of freedom, especially for Kublai Khan. I mean, for Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan, the dynasty that is Timuchin and his heirs and successors. He had amazing generals that were brilliant and strong, and the will was iron will, absolute. Many stories about that. I think I did a video on that. Yasutai, the Yasutai. Men who are willing to throw themselves into battle and die, didn't care, and they only wish to attack. So, anyway, I'm getting too deep into this. You see how a community can grow into a dynasty. And Mongolian, that's where it came from. They were tribes on the steppes, on the plainslands of the Mongolian steppes. They fought with each other. They had their own little traveling communities and families. And so that's another thing, is families grow within these communities. They sometimes prosper, sometimes they do not. Those who do not prosper might get a little jealous. And they also see how things work. If you're brutal, if you are more dangerous than everybody else, you prosper. And you survive. Peace through strength. But you always had to worry about somebody else. Somebody from the outside, somebody from the inside, in this extreme freedom. Take Mexico, for instance. They're absolutely free. You want to see total freedom, go to Mexico. You can do whatever you want. There are consequences, though. There are consequences. If you rape a woman there, you better expect that the family is going to hunt you down, torture you, and kill you in a very ugly way. So there are consequences. You rob and kill one family, their son who is out and about in the town, drinking, having a good time, and he is courting another family's daughter, and the brothers do not agree of this, and they kill the young man. Expect a war between the families. If a government official, and this is real, if a government official, regardless of the type or the status, does something tyrannical, does something that the people themselves do not enjoy, do not like, do not approve of, they will literally drag them down the street on the back of a pickup truck for all to see. But you can do what you want. There are consequences. And their capital, the way they in this pure freedom society, dangerous society, you can make as much money as you want. Nobody's going to tax you for it. Somebody is going to try to take it. There's always people that remember freedom. And if they can figure out a way to get that money out of your hands, out of your pocket, they will. If they can do it by force, they will. If they can do it by other means, theft and deceit, they will. Being clever or cunning, it will happen. You might get extorted by the group or community. A cartel. you might be asked to pay a protection fee, operation fee. See where this goes? Remember this shit from history? Yeah. But you do have the freedom to say no. But do you have the force the dangerousness. Are you dangerous enough to be above reproach? To be a way past anyone trying to take anything from you, because it just will not be good for their health. Maybe you have other deterrents. Maybe you work in silence and in the darkness and in the shade. You keep your profile low, and you make your money. You provide your goods and services, and you're in and out, and no one really knows who you are and what you do. That's a tactic. Cunning. Your freedom to grow what you want, you still have to worry about people trying to take it. Thus the need for force. But you can have a relative, happy, prosperous life, especially if you're part of a community that has a standing law, standing rules, something that everyone abides by and enforces. Then you can live out your life in peace and relative peace and prosperity, with a high certainty of survival. You can provide for your family and have a future. That was the idea behind the United States. The whole exodus from Europe, from across the pond to this great land, which was already inhabited by people, humans, tribes of interesting enough called Indians. We call them Indians because Christopher Columbus thought he had reached the continent of India, which was what his goal was to cross the sea and find India, find a better trade route. So he called them Indians, and the name stuck. Native Americans, the tribes of, even what they say is indigenous people. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with the evolution and the land bridge and their descent from East Asia and Mongolia. But they were here before us white men, us Westerners, as they call. From the crown, from the queen, all that. From a tyrannical regime that was basically worldwide, known world. But somebody found this place and said, you know what? There's a land of milk and honey. Freedom to live and prosper. And so these people, you have to understand, they lived under the crown, and if they did what they were told and were good little slaves, they survived, but they had to, of course, sacrifice their dignity, pride, sometimes their lives. Religion was a big thing. And so, yes, the split between the religions fueled this, the war of religions, of the splits, the different sects of Christianity that brought up. And you can already imagine what that, that already from history. Look around you. How many different groups of think are there? Baptist, Pentecostal, Lutheran, Catholic, Catholicism, Protestant, you name it, confessing evangelicals, all of them, the Zion tabernacles, all of them are split from the original, and everybody wanted to do what they wanted to do. The Puritans, right? Story of the Puritans. They just wanted to be left alone and do what they want in what they believed in. They were a community. And they believed that everybody should have these core values. And everybody that was there in the group of Puritans believed this. And there's so many. They're the Puritans, the Quakers. I mean, you can name them all off, but it doesn't matter. They all wanted to live and be left alone because there's a war going on. If you didn't believe a certain way, if you were, if you were team Protestant, you were the enemy. If you were team Catholic, you were the enemy. You know what I'm saying? So if you were team different, you were the enemy. And so there was a war going on, and the tyrannical regime had gotten involved and was pushing a certain side, and everybody was in danger. If you really truly believed in your core values, then you were subjugated, you were targeted, you were tortured and killed. So of course, they had to come to America. There's nobody here to stop them. They had to deal with the Indians, the Native Americans. But they started to live in peace and grow in strength. And from that point on, they, obviously, the Great Expansion. More and more and more people heard of this land of freedom and milk and honey. More and more people came here. Funny how their freedom suppressed and almost eradicated another community. Yeah, they did. Took a long ass time. But eventually this community grew into a nation and did not see the existing community as part of their own group or flock. Obviously, they had different ways of life, different views. Hell, they even looked different. Different languages. So they were demonized. Interesting word. They were targeted and dealt with. This land was claimed that way through force and might, through cunning deception. That has to be addressed. Yet we sit here on high going, well, we did this because, tyrannical regime. Yeah, well, there's always casualties. That's the point too. There's always casualties to freedom. And does your freedom mean the enslavement and eradication of another group, community? Yeah, sometimes it works that. Sometimes it be that way sometimes. It bees that way sometimes. As a famous quote I heard before I passed. But nonetheless, eventually, the tyrannical regime finally got the notion, heard about what's going on, and no, you are still slaves, you're still subjects of the crown, and you will be my authority. The authority of the crown, has the reach and advantage to you as well. So wherever you go, you are still under the crown because you're subjects of the king, yada, yada, yada. Enslavement. But, it was a logistical nightmare to get here, which prevented a lot of, and still does to this day, a lot of outside, incursions. Although it does happen. And so a war was fought. And the people that came to this land looking for freedom, albeit dangerous freedom, one, they beat back the outside force that was encroaching on their community and wished to enslave and continue their enslavement. They won, and they devised a way to never let this happen again. A resolve of the community to become a nation of free men. But there were still consequences. There was still room for improvement. There was still room for expansion and growth and changes that might come about, which is definitely going to come about. You have to be fluid and flexible. And so this community grew and expanded and started to use the resources at hand and live and prosper. It's a rocky start, but they did it. There were other communities in the world that in the lands that were sympathetic to their cause, allies. Cuba, for one. There were some that were not. We've seen them as a threat, as an encroachment, and of course, that's where Mexico came into. But you could also say Spanish. Everybody came here, and everybody came because it was freedom. And so, yes, there was freedom to start your own people, to make your own, to stake your own claim. The Crown did so in Canada, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Dutch. Everybody came here to, claim this land for Scotland, and all its inhabitants. Everybody tried to do that, but they found out real quick, no, it's not going to work. It's something that you have to work at. It's going to take time. Organization, tradition, honor. It goes on and on and on. Trade, finance. Anyway, once again, force. If you're being prosperous, you have to protect what you have. You have to protect it. Because it is up for grabs. If somebody is stronger than you or believes that they are more cunning than you, they're going to try to take it. So you have to guard against that at all times. From inside and out. So freedom does have its pitfalls, its negative side. Welcome to Dangerous Freedom. Shout out to Ron. But freedom is yours if you can keep it. Slavery, there's only one way to go. Only one option is given to you. And is do as you're told, or there will be violence. Might makes right. There's only one way out of that. It's to fight your way out of it. And it's a lot harder because you are not prosperous. You do not have your health. You do not have people. You don't have a large community, a large group that are like-minded. You might. Everybody's a slave. You could create a freaking pandemic, a massive wave that goes through the slavery, which does happen, of freedom, and then you have a revolt. And when the slaves revolt, it's going to be crazy. There's only two types of people then. Slaves and everybody else is the enemy. So you basically know who's your friend, who's your foe. In a free society, you don't know. You don't know who your friend and foe is. But you have to have that trust. And you have to have that authority. Might, force. Teeth and claws. Brain and brawn. As a slave, to exist, all you need is compliance. That's it. Compliance. Other complete and total compliance. You do as you're told. So yeah, there's only one option. There's only one option that what we're facing now is complete slavery. It's coming. We see it. They're not hiding it. It's out in the open. It is a public campaign to win the hearts and minds of men and women and children. To change the future from freedom to slavery. And we get to see how it's being done in real time. It's crazy. So knowing history and watching it unfold in front of your very eyes, it's quite astounding. Quite astounding. So what do you do about it? Look to history. What did history do about it? Eventually, there is if left to negligence of the community, conflict always arises. Has to be a conflict resolution. Might makes right. This is growing in our face. And we have not addressed it. We've addressed it. We talked about it. There might be a little pushback here and there. There's definitely been other groups and communities that just literally cut it off at the roots, cut it off at the stem, at the base, and ripped out the roots and burned the whole lot. You see these Brazils and Perus and Sri Lankas and what's the new one now? I mean, there's so many. The Philippines, everything's lighting up. The tyranny is too much. And the slaves are revolting. Yet the slavers push on. The tyrants push on. We're facing this in a slow burn here in this country, in this group, in this community. We've allowed them to infiltrate and to work their plan. And it's all spelled out for us. We've seen this many, many times. There's books, there's manuals, there's videos on it. There's everything you can possibly imagine that talks about what we're seeing and how this works, how we become slaves. Yet we carry on like nothing's happening. We're appalled. We talk about it. Some action is done. We believe that our system works. Yet the system has been corrupted and is now being weaponized against us so that we can be brought back into slavery. History repeats itself, doesn't it? Yeah. If you let it. So where is the line between slavery and freedom? It's a very gray area, very wide area between slavery and freedom. Different degrees, different levels, a timeline, a line, if you will, measuring tape. It's a balance between absolute freedom, absolute slavery. In the middle, that's probably where we're at right now. We're probably right here in the middle. We're tilting more towards the slavery side, freedom, the extreme freedom side. We're tilting a little bit past that point of middle point, where the middle path is the way kind of thing, where you have a nice balance, right? That's the balance. But the tides have turned and changed and have been tilted in their favor. So we have to be able to move that weight onto our side, past the fulcrum. To our advantage. How do we do that? That's the big question. Did we forget? I think we did. Or in denial, or in arrogance. Because there is strength in numbers, and there is a lot more of us than there is of them. We are many, they are few. We do what we want, they do what they can. But when that balance is tipped, they start to get to do what they want. Then we're forced with doing what we can. But at any point in time, we can tip those scales into our favor. Because we are many, they are few. If they become many, then their balance of power changes. If not, dismantles. Because that's how it works. If you have a lot of people that are in charge, too many chiefs and not enough Indians, you've heard this term, then nothing gets done. And not only that, things happen that are very, very detrimental to everyone. Absolute future is at stake. So that tyranny, that tyranny, freedom balance, it's been tilted past middle, towards tyranny, towards slavery. There you have gained more control and power, and with that comes authority, and with that comes force. But we still have a major authority, a major force on our side, which scares the living shit out of them. Because at any point in time, and I'm not talking about guns and weapons, I'm talking about the collective will of mankind to say, we're done, and you're gone. You must be dealt with accordingly. That the force on force. And that's, yes, physical, but it's also spiritual, mental, morals, everything. You see a lot of cultures that we find to be kind of arcane, but it works. It does work for them. That ideology. If the ideology of the community and group is not strong and sound, then it will be changed into whatever the insurrection, the insurgent deems necessary. If it's weak, it will be exploited. Reach and advantage. Influence, power, authority. Now we have many ways that we're regulated, we're judged, and absolute force is applied upon us to keep us in compliance. To keep us in compliance with the level of tyranny Now tyranny knows that in this situation, this middle ground, that at any point in time it can tilt. If they push too hard, the freedom side can push them all the way off the cliff. But if they go slow, methodical, take their time, which they do, and eventually erode at our moral defenses of the group and community, they can start to change the hearts and minds of people and to coerce them, bring them over through threats, intimidation, or just plain out deception and lying. Win over the hearts and minds of the people. Then they don't have to fire a shot. They don't have to storm the Bastilla. They don't have to bust out the siege warfare. They don't have to create an embargo, things of that nature. They just take over from within. And that comes from the morals and standards of the group and community eroding, being open to that threat, being a weak link in the chain that nobody realizes. That doctor I talked about, he's a great doctor. He cures the sick, aids the dying, he's great in triage. He's also a chemist. He starts to make medicines. Remember that doctor I was talking about? He wished to join the group, the community, like-minded individuals. Extremely smart. A great asset to have. Wow, this guy does everything. You see him. He's working constantly. He's training people to do amazing things and operations and stuff. Great asset to the community. It's a perfect little world. What happens when, next thing you know, there's a cough? You have a cough. Go to the doctor. He gives you some medication. Gives you a shot. Here, this will help. And you go about your day, your week. Next thing you know, you notice everybody else is coughing. All around you. It's growing. Everybody's coughing. Everybody's sick. The doctor's like, I got you. That's okay. Just here. Take this. Call me in the morning. Okay, it's a problem now. A lot of people are getting sick. So we're going to have to continue the medications. Just keep taking this medication. We're facing some type of a collective illness. It's okay. We'll work through this. But everybody's still sick, still dying. People are starting to die now. Oh shit. They're dying from this sickness, from this illness. Oh no. Doctor, what's going on? Oh God, I don't know. So we're going to have to take steps here. Stay in your house. We're going to have to quarantine. And if you are essential personnel, then you're going to have to wear this thing on your face, this PPE, this personal protective equipment for you and others. So we have to take some extreme measures here. Only essential personnel are allowed to travel and to work. Meanwhile, everybody stay in quarantine and take this. Here, take this. Keep taking this. So you do this. Like, okay, well, he's smart enough. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're in your room and the power goes out. Well, why is the power going out? Hey, don't we have people to do that? Don't we have essential personnel? Oh, they're dying. Oh, what? Yeah. There's not a lot of people to carry on with this, these activities. By the way, you might want to boil your water because the water our water filtration system is compromised because there's nobody working it. Damn. Okay, so now you're running out of electricity. You're running out of water. What do you mean there's no food? Well, there's the essential personnel are getting sick and they can only work. They're only allowed to work like 5 hours a day. And so they also deemed it necessary that the the food production be scaled back, to meet this imbalance here. And so from now on, you're going. The only thing we can make you is tomatoes and some bugs. So here, eat that. This will save you. This will you'll survive on this. We'll get through this. That's okay. And so finally, you say, okay, that's enough. I can't live this way. I'm hungry. I can't eat these bugs. I can't eat these tomatoes all the damn time. I'm still sick. I need help. I need to go see my mom and my dad. I have to go see my brother, my sister, and my friends, see if they're okay. I haven't heard anything. Nobody's told me nothing. I've just been sitting in my fucking room eating these damn tomatoes and bugs and wearing this fucking mask and taking all these medications. And what the fuck? So you step outside. As soon as you step outside, you're met with a gun in your face. What the fuck? I'm sorry, you can't come outside. No one's allowed outside. What do you mean no one's allowed outside? I'm done. Quarantine's over. I've had enough. This is not working. I stopped taking your medication years ago, months ago. I feel fine. This thing does nothing. I'm getting rid of it. I can't breathe. So I'm going to go see my mom and my dad. No, you're not. You're going to go back in your fucking house. By whose orders? Oh, by the doctor. The doctor? The good doctor. He's still... I need to go talk to the doctor. No, you're not talking to the doctor. The doctor has made his decision. Oh, it's up to him now. Yes. Yes, you allowed all that. You gave him the authority. You trusted him. You gave him no parameters to work within. You gave him full and total control because it was best for the community. And of course, he's smart and he knows what he's doing. Well, that's not going to work. I have to... No, that's not the way the things work around here. We're this community. We have these morals and ethics and values and standards and traditions. And no, we're not going to... No, I need to talk to people. No, you can't talk to anybody. Matter of fact, we're going to put you in a camp. You're going to prison. You're going to workforce. You're going to be the workforce. You're going to go work in the potato mine, the tomato mines, and the... Well, yeah, I meant to say potato. I said tomato. Potato, tomato. And you're going to work in the potato plant, and you're also going to cultivate the bugs because we need slave labor now because you're a dissident and you're going against the benefit of the community. And so you're a dissident and you must be dealt with, but you're still useful. So in you go. You've now become a slave. Working in the potato plant. You don't get to eat. You get one potato a day. Back to the slavery thing. You get one sweet potato a day. Sometimes it's cooked, sometimes it's not. You might be able to eat a few crickets that you find along the way if you can sneak it in because the guards are always watching. At any point in time, they can throw you in a room with nothing but a little bit of water and a little bit of a potato. More starvation, more starvation. More starvation. Soon enough, you and all you don't dare look or talk to anyone because, that's not allowed. There's public executions daily. Examples are made out of, so you don't want to be an example. But your once thriving community is now dying, is now a slave. The doctor, he's fine. He's doing great. Him and his guards and who he and maybe his bordello of women, whatever. His bordello is he's eating the greatest food. He's outsourcing. He's got people growing his own food and making his own foods. He's got chefs. They've got trade with other communities where they're getting all kinds of good stuff, hamburger and milk and honey and eggs and cheese. Oh, there's gasoline. You don't have gasoline, but they do. Because they got to be able to transport that stuff to and from. Oh yeah, they're also they're selling a lot of potatoes. A lot of potatoes. They're known for their great massive surplus of potato and their potato crop, and relatively cheap. So everybody, all the communities come to that one community, to the doctor's community. They call it the doctor. Go see the doctor. He'll give you potatoes, and he'll give you high quality potatoes. See how that works? Freedom is dangerous. Slavery is dangerous. It's very important to be free.